Israel blocks vital aid flow into Gaza. Egypt's Gaza reconstruction plan ready to be presented. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Mohana Priya and you're watching World Today. Israel on Sunday blocked aid flowing into Gaza, where a 6-week truce enabled the entry of vital food, shelter and medical assistance, prompting the UN to call for an immediate restoration of humanitarian assistance. The Israeli decision comes as talks on a truce extension appeared to hit an impasse after the ceasefire's 42-day first phase drew to a close. Truce mediators Egypt and Qatar accused Israel of blatantly violating the ceasefire deal by halting the aid, a move which left trucks loaded with goods lined up on the Egyptian side of the Rafah crossing to Gaza. Early on Sunday, Israel had announced a truce extension until mid-April that it said United States Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff had proposed. But Hamas had repeatedly rejected an extension, instead favoring a transition to the truce deal second phase that could bring a permanent end to the war. With uncertainty looming over the truce, both Israel and Palestinian sources reported Israel military strikes at the Hamas-run Gaza Strip, whose health ministry reported at least 4 people killed. Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati said on Sunday the Egyptian Gaza reconstruction plan that ensures Palestinians remain in their land is ready and will be presented to the Emergency Arab Summit on the 4th of March. Now, Arab states who were swift to reject President Donald Trump's plan for the U.S. to take control of Gaza and resettle Palestinians are quick to respond with diplomatic offensive to counter the idea. Trump's plan, announced on 4th February during a fragile ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, has infuriated Palestinians and Arab countries and upended decades of U.S. diplomacy focused on a two-state solution. The Egyptian counter-reconstruction plan, according to Abdelati, will not be purely Egyptian or Arab, but will gain international support and funding to ensure its successful implementation. Asked about the second phase of the ceasefire deal, Abdelati said Egypt will continue its intensive efforts to ensure the ceasefire is maintained and negotiations for the second phase can begin.
لم يطلع عليها أحد بالتفصيل انتظارا للاجتماع الوزاري غدا والقمة يوم الثلاثاء القادم، فبالتالي الخطة تم الانتهاء منها وفي انتظار عرضها على الأشقاء العرب في الاجتماع الوزاري وفي القمة لإقرارها قبل أن نتشارك فيها مع أي طرف أجنبي. لا يمكن مشاركة أي طرف في تفاصيل الخطة قبل إقرارها من القادة والرؤساء والزعماء يوم 4 مارس. فيما يتعلق بالمرحلة الثانية كما ذكرت لابد من تنفيذ كل طرف لالتزاماته، وتم التوقيع على اتفاق لابد من تنفيذ هذا الاتفاق، والاتفاق يتضمن التدفق الكامل للمساعدات، ولا يتعين ولا يمكن السماح أو قبول استخدام المساعدات كسلاح للعقاب الجماعي وللتجويع. هذا أمر مرفوض تماما ويمثل انتهاك صارخ وصريح للقانون الدولي الإنساني.
He added that following the Emergency Arab Summit, there will be an urgent ministerial meeting in Saudi Arabia for the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, where foreign ministers will push for the summit's outcomes to be presented globally. Meanwhile, Israeli military vehicles were seen near the Gaza border on Sunday as Israel announced they would block the entrance of humanitarian aid into the region. The future of the ceasefire was thrown into chaos as Netanyahu and ally US were coming up with a truce deal extension instead of transitioning into the second phase of the agreed deal signed in January. Hamas said it is committed to the originally agreed ceasefire, with negotiations aimed at a permanent end to the war, and it has rejected rejected the idea of a temporary extension to the 42-day truce. Israel says all its hostages must be returned for fighting to stop and for talks on the second phase to commence. Later on Sunday, Israeli officials said a delegation would arrive in Cairo in an apparent move to discuss ways to diffuse tensions and ensure the ceasefire remains in effect. Hamas has denounced Israel's move as blackmail and a blatant coup against the agreement. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Sunday that he believed he could salvage his relationship with U.S. President Donald Trump after the explosive meeting in the Oval Office, but that talks needed to continue behind closed doors. In an extraordinary meeting that was broadcast live on Friday, Trump accused Zelensky of being ungrateful for U.S. aid, of showing disrespect to his country, and of risking World War III, casting into doubt Washington's ongoing support for Ukraine.
Так, ми не робимо ніяких кроків назад. Це наша політика бути послідовною. Незважаючи на те, що сталося раніше, незважаючи на це, ми конструктивні. Якщо ми домовилися, що вона буде підписана, з нашого боку, ми готові підписувати. Я, чесно кажучи, думаю, що і Сполучені Штати будуть готові. Напевно, потрібен час проаналізувати якісь речі.
Zelensky said he did not think the U.S. would stop its assistance to Ukraine because, as he believed, as leaders of the civilized world, they would not want to help Russian President Vladimir Putin. However, Zelensky said he remained prepared for any challenges that may arise, but he added he does not think it's right when such discussions are totally open. Zelensky added that he remained ready to sign the proposed minerals deal with the United States and that he believed the U.S. would be ready as well. Leaders and representatives of European countries, Turkey and Canada, joined British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky for a summit in London on Sunday. Now, Starmer will try to revive hopes for peace in Ukraine at the meeting with Zelensky and other Western leaders just 2 days after Ukrainian President clashed with United States President Donald Trump. Ukraine's allies rallied around Zelensky at the summit hosted by Starmer, who said many European leaders had pledged to spend more on security and assemble a coalition to defend any truce. Trump had upended U.S. policy on the three-year-old war since he returned to the White House in January, casting doubt on its military and political support for Ukraine and Europe and ending the isolation of Moscow. France and Britain are also proposing a one-month truce in Ukraine, in the air, at sea, and on energy infrastructure. French President Emmanuel Macron said that such a truce would not, initially at least, cover ground fighting. The problem there was it would be very difficult to check that it was being respected, given the size of the front line. European countries are convinced of the need to ramp up defense spending and increase aid to Ukraine. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk announced the matter on Sunday after a meeting of mostly European countries on Ukraine in London. Tusk added that all leaders at the London summit wanted US-Europe relations to be as strong as possible. He hoped a meeting of EU leaders on 6th of March would be a clear impulse that no one would submit to Russian blackmail and aggression. The summit, which took place just 2 days after Volodymyr Zelensky clashed with US President Donald Trump and cut short a visit to Washington, saw world leaders offering a strong show of support to the Ukrainian president and promising to do more to help his nation. After Trump's shouting match with Zelensky in the Oval Office raised fears of the U.S. pulling support for Ukraine and instead imposing a peace plan negotiated with Russia, Europe is scrambling to ensure Kiev is not squeezed out of any talks. 1 week after heavy losses in the parliamentary elections, Germany's Social Democrats, or SPD, won the state election in Hamburg on Sunday. According to exit polls by public broadcaster ARD, the SPD won 33.5% of votes, remaining the strongest party, despite some losses compared to the previous election 5 years ago.
Wir haben vor allem am letzten Sonntagabend, als es für uns ja schlechte Ergebnisse gab, Das war der wichtigste Moment, dass wir eben nicht den Kopf haben hängen lassen, dass wir als gesamte Hamburger SPD, alle Mitglieder unserer Distrikte, dass alle Kandidierenden und alle, die für die SPD in der Öffentlichkeit stehen, mit einer großen Geschlossenheit gesagt haben, Hamburg ist anders. Wir wollen weiterhin stärkste Kraft in Hamburg bleiben und genau das ist auch gelungen.
The Green Party, currently in a coalition government with Hamburg's SPD, lost their second place to the conservative CDU party, which was projected to win 19.5% compared to the Greens' 17.5%. The far-right Alternative for Germany, AfD, had a slight increase in votes but remained below 10%. Based on current exit polls, a continuation of the coalition between the Social Democrats and the Greens appears likely, with Schenscher having a good chance of remaining in office. 1.3 million voters were called to cast their ballots in Germany's second-largest city, with an increased turnout being projected compared to the previous election in the year 2020. The U.S. aircraft carrier USS Carl Vinson arrived at the southern city of Busan in South Korea on Sunday as a show of force. The South Korean Navy also said the visit was part of the ironclad commitment of the United States to extended deterrence and to show readiness by the military alliance between Seoul and Washington against North Korea. The nuclear-powered vessel, which is part of Carrier Strike Group 1, docked approximately 320 kilometers from Seoul, reaffirming Washington's commitment to security on the Korean peninsula amid persistent threats from North Korea. The USS Carl Vinson was accompanied by the guided missile cruiser USS Princeton and the Aegis-equipped destroyer USS Sterett. It marks the first time a U.S. aircraft carrier has called at the country since June, when the nuclear-powered Theodore Roosevelt arrived in Busan to take part in joint military exercises. Now, the arrival of the carrier comes after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un supervised a test launch of strategic cruise missiles last month and ordered full readiness to use its nuclear attack capability, according to state media. Up next, a wave of cold air sweeps north and east China, causing 10-degree temperature drop. Stay with us.
Ramadan bersama Shopee, agaran setiap hari. Tonton Shopee Live ada menanti. Ramadan ini beli di Shopee. Jimat fantastik, Ramadan bombastik. Beli sekarang.
In 2025, Malaysia opens its doors to ASEAN, a celebration of unity and culture, bringing every moment of ASEAN 2025 to you, only on RTM.
Welcome back. Rescued workers who survived a massive avalanche in India on Sunday recounted the deadly disaster in the Himalayan mountain state of Uttarakhand earlier in the week. Now, 4 workers have died, and a search operation was conducted to rescue 5 others after an avalanche struck the state of Uttarakhand in northern India. The avalanche struck a labor site of the Federal Border Roads Organization, BRO, on Friday, where 8 containers and 1 shed with 57 workers inside were buried under the snow. Uttarakhand, which is located in the Himalayas, is increasingly prone to flash floods and landslides due to rising global temperatures. Environmentalists have urged a review of power projects and other development work there. Helicopters were used continuously to transport essential equipment, resources, and evacuate the injured. Northern Indian states have been experiencing heavy rainfall and snowfall in recent days, triggering landslides in several areas. Intense rainfall caused a river in northwestern Peru to overflow, devastating infrastructure, crops, and affecting at least 150 families in the Tumbes province on Saturday. Now, in the Corrales district, affected residents were struggling to wade through floodwaters in search of safe areas. The mayor of the provincial municipality of Tumbes, Hildebrando Anton, reported to media that more than 5,000 hectares of crops were affected, the most important being bananas, lemons and cereals. The district authority has made an urgent appeal to the government to declare an emergency in the region in order to allow the mobilization of resources to address the crisis. At the moment, regional authorities, together with the Peruvian Army and Navy, are carrying out prevention and risk mitigation activities, according to information from the municipality. Now, still on extreme weather, a new wave of cold air swept across North and East China recently, causing over 10 degrees Celsius temperature drop to multiple provinces, as well as widespread rainfall, snow and strong wind. Since Friday, the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region in North China has experienced extreme cold, with the most rapid temperature drop reaching 12 degrees Celsius. The lowest temperature was witnessed in Ergun city, reaching minus 38 degrees. In response, local authorities have activated emergency plans to ensure steady heating, protect livestock and clear snow on the roads. Haixi Prefecture in northwest China, Qinghai province, has also reported snowfall since Saturday. Snow has accumulated up to 3 centimeters in multiple regions, and the temperature has dropped to minus 12 degrees. In warmer provinces in the northern part of China, the cold wave also leads to marked temperature plunges. On Sunday morning, Dezhou city in East China's Shandong province was hit by strong winds, and the highest temperature dropped to 3 degrees Celsius. Now, the city is expected to welcome a round of snowfall later on Sunday, according to local meteorological experts. Handan city in Hebei province of North China was also experiencing its first sleet and snowfall. The highest temperature plummeted by 15 degrees across the region, dropping the nighttime temperature again to 0 degrees. Firefly Aerospace became the second U.S. company to land on the moon on Sunday with its debut Blue Ghost lander, kicking off a 2-week research mission as one of a handful of private firms to reach the front lines of a global moon race. Now, the size of a compact car, the 4-legged Blue Ghost carried 10 scientific payloads as it touched down at 3:35 a.m. Eastern Time near an ancient volcanic vent on Mare Crisium, a large basin in the northeast corner of the moon's Earth-facing side. Flight controllers at Firefly's Austin, Texas headquarters watched as Blue Ghost descended towards the moon's surface at a gentle 2 miles per hour. They confirmed that the spacecraft had entered lunar gravity a month and a half after launching atop a SpaceX rocket from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida through a live stream. Firefly became the second private firm to score a soft moon landing. Houston-backed Intuitive Machines' Audacious lander made a lopsided soft touchdown last year. 5 nations have made successful soft landings in the past: the then Soviet Union, the US, China, India, and last year, Japan. Meanwhile, after several postponements, Europe's Ariane 6 launcher will carry out its first commercial mission later today when it puts a French military intelligence satellite into space. The launch from the Kourou base in French Guyana is key to Europe's efforts to build up its security autonomy amid the shocks caused by the US-Russia diplomatic rapprochement. Ariane 5 was retired in 2023, and Europe has not been able to use Russia's Soyuz rocket for its satellite launches since Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine. Ariane 6 underwent a successful test in July last year and is scheduled to carry out 5 launches this year. First scheduled in December, the launch was put back until 26 February and then 3rd March because of problems getting the satellite to the Kourou base. Given the military role of the satellite being put into space, base, strict security precautions are being taken to limit access at the base, while 3 Rafale fighter jets will patrol the surrounding skies. The CSO-3 satellite will complete a network of 3 French military satellites, with the first 2 launched in 2018 and 2020 by Soyuz. The satellites strengthen France's military autonomy. Sweden also has access to some images in exchange for letting France use its space research center near the Arctic town of Kerana. Chinese company Xiaomi unveiled their Series 15 of the devices in Barcelona on Sunday, ahead of the opening of the Mobile World Congress Tech Conference. Xiaomi, the world's 3rd largest smartphone maker, launched its new flagship smartphone Xiaomi 15 Ultra, with the base model starting at about $894. Xiaomi Iberia's head of marketing, Nelly Di Navia, said the company aims with this phone to reach the top end of technology and photography. Company president William Liu added that technology and photography together is like what really can define Xiaomi 15 Ultra. Featuring a laser camera, the handset is equipped with a 1-inch ultra-large main camera sensor, featuring a 200-megapixel periscope telephoto lens to tackle the industry's common challenge of low-light telephoto imaging. Tech and telecom companies are releasing new products and features ahead of the annual Mobile World Congress MWC in Barcelona, set to kick off later today, with artificial intelligence and its regulation as most relevant topics. Coming up in sports, Marc Marquez continues perfect start in Thai Grand Prix. Stay tuned. Kicking off our sports segment this afternoon, Saudi Pro League leaders Al Ittihad conceded a late equalizer to draw 1-1 at home to Al Uqdood on Sunday. Now, the draw sees Al Ittihad widen the gap at the top of the table to 6 points, with second-placed Al Hilal losing 3-2 to Al Ahli, while relegation battling Al Uqdood sit 2 points from safety in 17th. Algerian international Hossein Aouar gave the hosts the lead going into halftime, spinning around one defender before dribbling past another and beating goalkeeper Paulo Vitor at his near post. Former Ballon d'Or Karim Benzema almost doubled Al Ittihad's advantage just after the hour mark, but his effort was saved by Vitor, with Colombia's Sebastian Pedrosa then acrobatically clearing the ball off the line. Deep into injury time, Al Ittihad failed to clear their lines from an Al Uqdood corner, and Cameroon's Christian Bassogog thumped a 97th minute equalizer into the top corner to see the spoils shared in Jeddah. Moving on to tennis, top-seeded American Emma Navarro capped a dominant week with a 6-love thrashing of qualifier Emilia Angaro in the final of the WTA Merida Open on Sunday. Navarro, seeded number 1 for the first time, marched to her second WTA title without dropping a set, adding the 500-level crown to the title she won in Hobart last year. Navarro hadn't reached a final since, although she made it to the quarterfinals or better at the last 3 Grand Slams and came into the week ranked 10th in the world. She needed just 55 minutes to subdue Arango, becoming the first player to win a WTA final 6-love, 6-love since Iga Swiatek blanked Carolina Pliskova in the 2021 Rome title match. Arango, a 24-year-old Colombian who made it past the quarterfinals of a WTA tournament for the first time this week, came into the tournament ranked 133rd in the world and will crack the top 100 when the new rankings are announced on Monday. 6-time MotoGP champion Marc Marquez continued his perfect start with factory Ducati as he completed a weekend double at the season-opening Thailand Grand Prix on Sunday ahead of his younger brother Alex. The 32-year-old Spaniard extended his lead at the top of the MotoGP World Championship with 37 points, 8 more than second-placed Alex and 14 ahead of Italian Bagnaia. Pole sitter and sprint winner Marc Marquez made an electric start in hot and humid conditions at the Buriram International Circuit, but Alex, who had qualified second on the grid, took the lead on the 7th of the 26 laps. Marc snatched back the lead with 3 laps remaining, however, to win the opening race of the MotoGP season for the first time since 2014. Twice MotoGP champion Francesco Bagnaia, Marquez's new teammate, came in third to complete an all-Ducati podium. Marquez had looked dominant all weekend, and it seemed only a matter of time that he would overtake Alex, who is 4 years his junior, as he finished 1.732 seconds ahead. Bagnaia, who lost last year's championship to the now-injured Jorge Martin by 10 points, battled with Alex for second place. Franco Morbidelli made up 2 places to finish fourth, while Trackhouse's Japanese rookie Ai Ogura continued his remarkable start to MotoGP as he came 5th. Great Britain's Cody Bramwell produced one of the best performances on Saturday as the FIS Freeride World Tour, FWT, returned to the Caucasus Mountains in Georgia for the 4th stop of the season. Now, Bramwell continued the Kakiani feast with a clutch run that included a huge backflip as he went on to score 85.67 points and claim his first victory of the season in the men's snowboarding. Switzerland's Liam Rivera took second place with a score of 71.33, while France's Victor Delarue was third. In the women's competition, Noémie Ikuti from France earned her second win of the season after a fluid run scored her 79 points. Australia's Michaela Davis-Meehan and Spain's Nuria Castan-Baron rounded out the podium. Marcus Gauguin from Canada took his second consecutive victory in the men's skiing after linking a 360 into a cork 720, giving him a score of 92.33. Switzerland's Martin Bender was just behind, with France's Virgile Didier third. And in the women's event, Zuzana Witic from Poland took the win after scoring 77 points, with Switzerland's Jenna Keller and the United States' Taylor Dobbins finishing second and third. The tour now heads to Austria from March 8th to the 13th for the final stop before the cut, which will see only the top-ranked riders advance to the FWT finals. And that wraps up our bulletin this afternoon. In our top story today, Israel blocks vital aid flow into Gaza, blatantly violating ceasefire deal. Do join us this evening on TV1 and Salaran Berita RTM at 8:30 p.m. for more, or you can always stream us live on RTM Click's website and mobile app. Till then, I'm Mohana Priya. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thank you for your company.